Hello and welcome to the Real Estate Regroup Show. I am your host, LJ Walker, a real estate investor helping you realize your dreams of owning a home or investing in one. Well, I was asked by one of the subscribers to do a video on Gary, Indiana's real estate market, particularly with rentals. Well, here is what I found. Just like any other city, it really depends on where you're buying. Okay. So apartments, for the most part, like you can get a 1 bedroom starting around $700 a month. And houses, the rental prices for those can range between $11.95 to $2,600 per month. Okay. Now, when it comes to, let's say, the Broadway section, I see where apartments are averaging $856 a month. Townhomes, the prices, believe it or not, range from $750, go all the way up to $1,100 per month for 2 bedroom units. Houses, the rental prices start from $1,000. Houses that are not townhomes start from $1,000 to $1,600 per month. Okay. Some of you may not know the difference between a townhome and a house. A townhome is normally a home that's attached. The people that live there, they normally pay something called HOA fees, homeowners association dues, that they may have to pay. Well, I pay mine every year, but I know that there are some people in Florida that pay an extra due every month. So it really depends. Okay. Now, another area that I had mentioned in previous video that they are looking to develop is an area called Miller. So I looked up the rental prices there, and it says that they are about $1,583 a month. Okay, that's the average for that area, and it's one of the highest areas, one of the highest rental areas in Gary, Indiana. Okay, so then I looked for Aetna, and I looked at what the rent for the houses are there. The rent for the houses are $1,080 to $1,500 per month for 2 and 3 bedroom homes. For apartments, like studio apartments, start at $699. 1 bedroom apartments will be $812. Then you have 2 bedroom apartments that will be $850 to $1,200 a month, and 3 bedrooms will range from $1,195 to $1,900 per month. Okay, so that's basically what you would look at. And I primarily got this information from neighborhoodscout.com and apartments.com. So now, when I look back at my friend who I mentioned to you guys before, he bought a house, a tax lien on a house for $200. Okay. Now, once he bought that tax lien, you have to do what? You have to foreclose on that property once the time has run out. So once it matures. So that normally I didn't get the cost breakdown from him, but I know from experience it will run you anywhere between $2,500 to $5,000. But being that it was an empty property, it probably was more like $1,000, because this was a gut rehab that he bought the tax lien on. So once he got it, right, typically, if you have great contractors and the city does not mess with you, city inspectors, then $50,000 is what it's going to take for you to bring that property up to code and make it livable. But unfortunately, that did not happen for him. And so I know he mentioned that it was like more like $70,000, a little bit more than $70,000 is what he paid to fix everything up, to get it up to code and what have you. He had some issues with contractors that were not, some of them were not reliable. And then he also dealt with the city inspector who dragged his feet as far as coming to check on the property, number one. And when that happens, your holding costs go up. So you got to pay another water bill for the next month, gas, heat, etc., electricity. So that brought it up, and then the city inspector found that there were certain flaws in the work that some of the contractors did, and there was some things in the house that needed to be corrected. So that's why it came up to more than $70,000. So I told you that he turned around and he sold the property instead of holding on to it. Well, I did the math, okay? And I said, well, first of all, what I just read to you, that's the rental prices of how it is today. I don't recall what the rental prices were when he actually did this, when he actually did the gut rehab. We can safely assume that the rental prices were a little bit lower than that, okay? So now, what's the next thing to do? You know that rental prices, not always, but typically, yeah, rents do go up. They don't remain the same. Very rarely. Well, at least not in New York anyway. But let's just make the assumption, right, that all of the rents that I read off to you, let's say that they were the same back in 2017. Okay, so when I sort of averaged it out, I said, all right, I capped it at 70,000. And then I said, okay, 70,000 plus the 200, right? That's 70,200 plus the 2,500 for the foreclosure, right? So we're looking at what, 72,700 is what he would be all in for. If he were to rent it out, it would take him 3 to 5 years in order for him to get his money back. And that's if the tenant actually paid their rent. Because you can get a tenant that unfortunately will not pay you. But typically, if he got good tenants and everything, it would take him 3 to 5 years for him to get the money back. Now, some people will say, well, what about appreciation? Appreciation is not always guaranteed. Sometimes houses appreciate and sometimes properties depreciate depending on the economy, depending on what's nearby, depending on crime. There's a number of factors that can affect property appreciating. Okay, plus, even if it appreciates, you don't exactly know by how much it's going to appreciate. And that's the other thing, right? So in Gary, Indiana, for those of you who are interested in buying, yes, I do see where the city is going to make strides and everything else like that to make an improvement. They have a better mayor, however, than the one that they had in the past. I don't know all of the elected officials that are in Gary, Indiana, as far as like, do they care about their own city or do they just want to rip the people off? Right? I don't have that information. I don't know. But I would not look at it or invest in that area for appreciation. I do have property in Indiana, Logansport. It's not, it's not the same as Gary. It's completely different. But again, when I invested there, I didn't invest looking at appreciation. I invested looking at, okay, how much money am I going to get a month? And how long will it take for me to get my money back? That's what I was looking at. And that's what I'm encouraging other people. There are certain markets, you invest strictly for appreciation. There are certain markets you invest strictly for the return, for the capital. But this particular market, I feel like you should just invest just for how much money you're going to get back, and how fast you're going to get it, not for the appreciation, because it's still questionable. We're still uncertain. We're now going into a presidential election, right? And even though the mayor cares about his city, and let's say all the other, politicians care about the city, you don't know who's going to be our new president, and you don't know how much money our new president is going to allocate towards that particular city. And from what I see, it appears that most of their delegates are Democrat. So if the Republican wins, will they give, how much money will they give to Gary, Indiana? It's still a possibility, like you don't know. Typically, from what I see, a lot of times, especially with the Republican presidents, they seem to give more to states that voted Republican as opposed to states that voted Democrat. The only time when things are different sometimes is if that Democratic city plays a pivotal role in the economic infrastructure of the whole entire United States. For example, New York plays a very, very pivotal role. Like if New York goes down, real talk, if New York goes down, trust me, it has a negative effect throughout the whole entire United States. It will have a negative effect across the whole entire world. And if you don't believe me, then you need to go back to when they bombed the World Trade Center. The whole world does things differently after that attack. So anyway, guys, that is, I don't want to veer off too far. I think I took a tailspin there. So I'm going to bring it right back. Anyway, guys, so that is my rental outlook on Gary, Indiana. I hope the information will help you make smart financial moves. Feel free to pass this amongst your friends. Remember, each one, reach one, teach one. Bye for now. Until next time, have a good night.